Hey, my name is Hunter, and I've been learning how to code for the last 3 years. And in the last year, I have been learning how to use Godot, and I'm having a lot of fun with Godot. So I thought I may as well try and help beginner coders get into coding. So the stuff I'm going to talk about will go for everything in coding, but I'm going to just talk about it specifically for Godot, just because I find it fun to use and explain, and I can teach people. So yeah. Hope this helps, and let's jump straight into it. So here I've got a picture that we will go over. It looks a bit daunting at first when you see it, but I'm going to go through this step by step. So today's video is about nodes and scenes, and I'm going to go through each individual thing. So let's start with a node first, because that's pretty easy to explain. So a node in Godot and with other game things is your specialist brick. So think of when you want like a plumber, you don't want just anyone, you don't want just any handyman. You want specifically a plumber that will fix your toilet. That's what this is. So the node has one specific job, and there's multiple different types of nodes. So bear with me here. One type of node is sound. The other type of node is like showing the looks of your character. The other type of node is collision of your character and collision of a wall. So if you have a node for your character, for example, that has collision, and in Godot, there's layers for collisions. There's like heaps of different layers. But to make it simple, your character is on layer one, and the wall that you want to be able to collide with is on layer one as well. So your character and the wall both have a collision shape. If your character runs into it, that's going to be the collision shape. That is the node. It has a specific purpose, and there's lots of them. There's even 2D and 3D nodes. So it goes to show how crazy it is. Now, the scene. The scene is the overall like thing. It connects all the nodes together. So as you can see by the second image, you can kind of see my mouse circling around it. You've got the blueprint of the Lego. So the scene is the overall thing that holds it all together. So if you have a character scene, for example, your scene will hold your character, your scene will hold enemies, a scene will hold the world, etc. All that stuff. So for your character is going to have like 20 different nodes. Scene holds all of those nodes together. And yeah, so think of it like the glue. So if you glue a Lego piece together, it will stay there for a very long time unless you get de-gluing stuff. But it'll stay there forever. So it's a reusable recipe that you can use for multiple different things. So what I like to do is I like to create one like monster or obstacle, whatever, and then that scene, I can duplicate that scene and change the next thing. So if I have monster one, I can duplicate monster one and create my monster two. That's basically what it is. So you have different scenes for different things, and each monster will have its own nodes and stuff inside of that. So it's a collection of nodes saved together that can be instanced multiple times instantly. And you can make it where you change it once, update it everywhere. But I tend to split it individually, so then I'm not messing up other things later. I'll make the character perfect as I can at the time, and then I'll think of another idea and add it later on. But you duplicate it and then you edit individually. So now the structure of it. Down the bottom, I've got the parent-child rule. So inside of your scene, you've got what we call a parent node, or a root node is what it's called in Godot. Most places call it a parent something. It'll be the parent. And then you've got children that are the ones that follow the parent around all the time. So, for example, you've got the parent character. Then you've got the parent sprite, which is just the looks of a character. Then you got the child collision, the child camera. So when you move your character, the camera, the collision shape, and the sprite will all follow along. So if you move a parent node, all of its child nodes will follow automatically. So, yes, I hope that makes sense. The structure, the hierarchy, and the world. I just said that before. Connecting the parts. Nodes, scenes, games. Your entire game world is simply one large scene made of smaller scenes. So, in Godot and a lot of other things, there will be a main scene, which is probably going to be your world, right, that you create. And in that main scene, there will be your character, enemies, walls, buildings, like friendly NPCs, etc. All that stuff. As you can kind of see in the bottom right, as the world. It's got everything in there, and each of it has different child nodes and scenes and etc. Right, so I've come to the Godot site itself. I wish I had this when I was starting out. I didn't even know this thing existed. I thought I just had to go on YouTube and try and learn from someone. But I'm going to zoom in a bit to sort of show off the scene and stuff like that. So, as you can see here, this is what it will look like in Godot, and this looks really daunting at first, but the more you get used to it, the easier it is to understand. And I'm going to go through this. So, as you can see in the top left here, you've got the scene here. And then in here, this is what we call the root node, or otherwise the parent scene. And in this, we've got the player, so your character. And then we've got the sprite. So when your character moves, it's animated, right? So animated sprite, 2D. You've got the collision shape. The collision shape you can't actually see. So when you go into Godot, you'll actually create an individual collision shape that is, you can make it bigger than your character or you can make it smaller than your character. That's completely up to you. Generally, we make it the same size, but it's up to everyone. Everyone has their own opinion. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. And then you've got the audio. So your character walking will make steps. And then you've got the camera for when your character moves. It'll follow your character and it'll pan. So that when your player moves, everything under player that isn't the enemy. So animated sprite, the collision shape, the audio stream player, and the camera will all move together. So if it moves, audio stream will play and your character will move. And then you got the enemy. So the enemy will be animated as well, most likely, along with the collision shape 2D. You can also add a sound to it as well, and whatever else, but this is just an example of what nodes in a scene is. And then you've got the area 2D and a collision shape 2D. That would be for the walls and stuff like that, so you can bump into things and potentially have the game end, etc. But this is what I was talking about before when we go back to my little fundamental pieces here. This little world on the right hand side, it all comes together to build your little bot. So when I go back to the Godot thing, I'll have a link to it in the description so you can have a look at it yourself and dive more into it yourself. But I'm really hoping I'm helping you because I'm trying to think back to when I started and what I wanted and everything else. So that's what I'm trying to do. And here, all the nodes have the following characteristics: a name, editable properties. They receive callbacks to update every frame. You can extend them with new properties and functions. You can add them to another node as a child. That's a little bit confusing for someone who doesn't understand code, and it definitely would have confused me at the start. And we're not going to get into the coding side of things. I'm just trying to give you the very basic rules of it. So this is an example of the player. So this little face here would be able to move around and run into stuff. So you've got the main part here, the main node, which is the player. Then you've got the sprite 2D, which is the actual image itself. The collision shape would be the light blue outline of the character. So you can see how there's a blue outline hovering over this. And then there would be a camera, but the camera you can't really see unless you're moving it around. Now, I'm going to open up a project that I was working on in the past, and I'm going to show some examples in the game. Alright, so I've moved myself down into the bottom corner so you can kind of see. I don't know if you can see this properly, but as you can see, this is just, I've named this playground as my main world overall. And I've got my player, and then I've got the grass, which is all this green stuff. I've got the plants, I've got multiple different plants, and then I've got a slime. So this is a main scene. So this is my main scene. When the game starts, it will open up here. This is overall. And then I've got my individual player. So drag this. Oh, you can see my character here. And it's got a collision shape, which is the yellow box here. It's got the sprite, which is the individual character. Then you've got the animation player. So when I walk around, it'll move around. This is going to be a bit advanced, but this is a state machine, so it will describe what state my character is in, whether I'm stuck or able to move, free, the amount of health I've got, etc. Then I've got the camera that will follow my character, etc. But the main thing that I want to show is how all these individual things come into one individual game. So I'm going to start my game up. As you can see, I can walk around and the character moves. If I run into him, there you go. Now, I turned the sound off because it's actually quite loud. I haven't adjusted the sound for this game. But yes, this is what happens with the character. So I had a collision shape, and the slime has a collision shape, which means if I run into him, I get hurt. If I run into this wall, I get stuck on the wall. As you can see, I can't move up the wall. Walk up, and over here, there's even collision here as well. So all this comes into the Godot. Now, I hope I didn't make this too confusing, and I hope I showed the capabilities and beginner-friendly side of learning how to code. So don't worry about the coding side of things. Just understand that all this scene leads to having multiple nodes, leads to creating a game. So in a future video, I will start off with just making a character move, and that's just going to be made with like 4 different nodes, and we'll go real simple and flow. So if you're interested in that, click the subscribe button and hit the bell notification. I will be posting twice a week, Monday and Friday, and I'm going to stick to that schedule. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a most outstanding day.